Kong Doyan stood with his unit on the rooftop of the United Earth Defense Headquarters. He watched the massive ships descend through the clouds. They were beautiful in a strange way, smooth and white, like drops of milk falling through water. Nothing like the dark, ugly ships of the Kreth that had attacked Earth 5 years ago. "They're really here," said Jiwoo, standing next to him. His friend's voice was full of wonder. "The galactic sovereignty. Can you believe it?" Doyan said nothing. He just watched. 5 years ago, Earth had been alone. The Kreth had come without warning. Monsters from the dark between stars. They had burned cities, killed millions. Earth had no starships, no advanced weapons. Just soldiers with guns and bombs and a stubborn refusal to die. Dojan remembered Titan Station. He remembered the screams. He remembered holding a door for 11 hours while civilians escaped behind him. He remembered the smell of blood and fire. Earth won that war. Barely, but they won. Now the galaxy was paying attention. General Tai-ho walked up behind them. He was an old man with a face like cracked leather. He had fought in the war too. Lost an arm. The new one was metal, but he never complained. "Listen up," the general said. "The sovereignty is sending a diplomatic team. The emperor himself is coming. And his daughter, Princess Yuna, a princess?" Jiwoo grinned. "Maybe I should comb my hair." "You should shut your mouth," Tai-ho said, but there was no anger in his voice. "This is important. Earth is being considered for membership in the sovereignty. That means protection, trade, technology. Everything we need to make sure another Kreth war never happens." Doyan finally spoke. "What do they want from us?" Tai-ho looked at him. The general always looked at Doyan differently than the others, like he was measuring him. "They want to see if we're worthy," Tai-ho said, "and they want to follow their traditions. Something called a selection ceremony. The princess will choose a guardian consort from the worthy species." "A what?" Jiwoo asked. "A husband," Tai-ho said. "Or something like it. It's symbolic. Political. Don't worry about it. Our job is security. Keep your eyes open, your mouths shut, and don't start any wars." The ships landed 3 hours later. Doyan was assigned to the security detail for the main delegation. He wore his dress uniform, which he hated. It was stiff and uncomfortable. He preferred his combat gear. At least that was honest. The delegation walked down the ramp of the largest ship. First came the guards. They were tall beings with blue-gray skin and forearms. Their eyes were solid black, and they moved with the smooth grace of predators. Then came the advisors. Different species, all strange. Some had scales. Some had feathers. One seemed to be made of living crystal. Then came the emperor. He was humanoid, but taller than any human. His skin was pale violet, and his eyes were gold. He wore robes of white and silver, and he walked like someone who had never known fear. Power came off him like heat from a fire, and behind him came the princess. Doyan felt something strange when he saw her. It was like a hook had caught in his chest. Princess Yuna was beautiful, not in the way human women were beautiful. She was something else. Her skin was the same pale violet as her father's. Her hair was white and fell past her shoulders like water. Her eyes were silver. They seemed to see everything. She was smaller than he expected. Delicate, but there was something in the way. She held herself. Something that said she was not weak. Not at all. She looked at the human soldiers lined up to greet her. Her eyes moved across them like she was reading words on a page. For just a moment, her eyes met Doyan's. He felt cold, then hot, then nothing at all. He kept his face still. He was a soldier. He knew how to hide what he felt. The princess looked away. Over the next 3 days, Doyan did his job. He stood guard. He watched. He stayed quiet. On the 4th day, the delegation visited the memorial. The memorial was a wall of names. Every human who died in the Kreth War had their name written there. Millions of names, stretching across a plaza the size of 10 football fields. Doyan hated coming here, but it was part of the tour. He stood at his post while the emperor and his advisors talked with Earth's leaders. The princess walked slowly along the wall, reading the names. Her attendant, a small creature with fur like copper wire, followed behind her. Doyen wasn't supposed to leave his post, but there was a section of the wall he needed to see. He moved quietly. Just a few steps. Just enough to stand before a certain part of the wall. Kim Mira, Park Junho, Lee Sora. Names he knew. Faces he remembered. Friends he couldn't save. He stood there in silence. He didn't pray. He didn't cry. He just remembered. You knew them. The voice was soft and clear. Do-yeon turned. Princess Yuna stood behind him. Up close, she was even more striking. Her silver eyes studied him with an intensity that made him uncomfortable, as he said. He should say more. Call her your highness or beau or something. But the words wouldn't come. The wall says they died at Titan Station, she said. You were there. It wasn't a question. Yes. My attendant tells me a human soldier held a corridor for 11 hours at Titan Station. He saved 2,000 civilians. He refused all honors. She tilted her head. Was that you? Do-yeon said nothing. See, she said. She turned back to the wall. In my experience, warriors love to tell stories of their victories. They boast. They demand recognition. They build monuments to themselves. She touched one of the names gently. But you stand here in silence, remembering the ones you lost. You carry your strength like it hurts you. Do-yeon felt his throat tighten. It does, he said quietly. The princess looked at him again. There was something new in her eyes. Something like respect. What is your name, soldier? Kong Do-yeon, your highness. She nodded slowly. I will remember it. Then she walked away, her attendant hurrying after her. Do-yeon watched her go. He didn't understand what had just happened. He didn't understand why his heart was beating so fast. He was just a soldier. She was a princess of the galaxy. Their worlds were too far apart, but something had changed. He felt it in his bones. The announcement came 1 week after the delegation arrived. Do-yeon was eating breakfast in the barracks when Ji-woo burst through the door. Out of breath and laughing, "You're not going to believe this," Ji-woo said. "Try me. General Tai-ho entered you in the selection ceremony." Do-yeon stopped eating. He put down his spoon very slowly. What? The competition for the princess. The guardian consort thing. Earth gets to send one candidate. And Tai-ho picked you? No. Yes. No. Do-yeon stood up. I'm going to talk to him. He found General Tai-ho in his office. The old man was drinking coffee and reading reports like nothing unusual had happened. Sir, Do-yeon said. Permission to speak freely? Denied. Tai-ho didn't look up. You're entered. It's done, sir. I'm not. Not what? Not good enough? Not smart enough? Not pretty enough? Tai-ho finally looked at him. His eyes were hard. You're the best soldier I have, Do-yeon. You held Titan Station. You've saved 2,000 people. You've never quit anything in your life. This isn't a battle, sir. This is politics. Games. I don't belong there. Maybe not. Tai-ho leaned back. But Earth needs to show the galaxy what we are. Not our technology. Not our wealth. We don't have those things. We have our people. Our spirit. Our stubborn refusal to give up. He pointed at Do-gen. That's you. Sir, the decision is made, Sergeant. Report to the Grand Hall tomorrow at dawn. Dismissed. Do-yeon stood there for a long moment. Then he saluted and left. The selection ceremony lasted 7 days. Candidates came from across the galaxy. Princes, warriors, champions. They wore fine clothes and carried expensive weapons. They smiled with perfect teeth and spoke with silver tongues. Do-yeon wore his uniform. It was the nicest thing he owned. On the first day, he saw Prince Soren of the Ethel Dominion. Soren was tall and golden. His skin seemed to glow. His eyes were the color of sunset, and his smile was bright and sharp like a blade. He moved through the crowd like he owned it. Everyone bowed to him. Everyone wanted his attention. When Soren saw Do-yeon, he laughed. "A human?" he said to his attendants. "They sent a human. How amusing. Like sending a dog to compete with wolves." His attendants laughed with him. Do-yeon said nothing. He just watched Soren walk away, still laughing. The first trial was the trial of mind. The candidates entered a room filled with holographic displays. They faced tactical simulations, war games. They had to solve problems, make decisions, lead armies. Do-yeon didn't win. His solutions were too simple, too direct. The judges wanted clever strategies. Do-yeon just wanted to save lives. In one simulation, he was given a choice. He could sacrifice a small group of soldiers to win the battle, or he could retreat and save everyone but lose. Every other candidate sacrificed the soldiers. It was the smart choice. The winning choice, Do-yeon retreated. The judges marked him low, but he didn't care. In the observation room above, Princess Yuna watched. She saw what he chose. She saw why. She said nothing, but she remembered. The second trial was the trial of body. Combat, fighting, violence made. Beautiful for the crowd. The arena was filled with thousands of spectators. Beings from hundreds of worlds had come to watch. Do-yeon faced his first opponent, a warrior from a heavy-gravity world. The creature was massive. 3 meters tall, arms like tree trunks, skin like stone. The fight lasted 30 seconds. Do-yeon was thrown across the arena. He hit the ground hard. The crowd laughed. He got up. The creature hit him again, and again, and again. Each time Do-yeon got up, he couldn't win. He knew that. The creature was too strong, too fast, too tough, but he wouldn't stay down. Finally, the time ran out. Do-yeon lost on points. He was bruised and bleeding, but he walked out of the arena on his own feet. The crowd didn't laugh this time. Prince Soren won his match easily. His opponent barely touched him. Soren was fast and graceful and deadly. He smiled at the crowd like a performer taking a bow in the observation room. Princess Yuna watched both fights. She noticed something interesting. When Soren won, he looked at the crowd. He wanted their approval. When Do-yeon lost, he looked at no one. He didn't care about approval. He only cared about not giving up. The third trial was the trial of spirit. Each candidate stood before the assembly and spoke. They talked about what they would protect, what they believed, why they were worthy. Prince Soren spoke of glory. He talked about his bloodline, his victories, his power. He spoke of the great alliance between his family and the sovereignty. He spoke of the future he would build. It was a beautiful speech. The crowd loved it. When Do-yeon's turn came, he walked to the center of the hall. He looked small there, ordinary, just a man in a uniform. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. "I don't have fancy words," he said. "I'm not a prince. I'm not a champion. I'm just a soldier." The crowd was silent. 5 years ago, I was at Titan Station when the Kreth broke through. I held a corridor, not because I was brave, not because I was strong. I held it because there were people behind me who couldn't fight, families, children. He paused. His voice was steady, but there was something raw in it. There was a little girl. She was maybe 6 years old. She was so scared she couldn't move. I picked her up and carried her. The whole time, she kept asking me the same question. "Are the monsters gone? Are they gone?" Do-yeon looked at the floor. I told her yes. I told her the monsters were gone. I promised her. He looked up. I lied. The monsters weren't gone. They were everywhere. But I made her believe they were, because that's what she needed. Hope. Safety. Even if it wasn't real. The hall was completely silent. "That's what I protect," Do-yeon said. "Not glory. Not power. Just people. Scared people who need someone to lie to them so they can keep going."
Nice.
He stepped back. "That's all I have." No one moved. No one spoke. Then, from the observation room, Princess Yuna stood up and left. Her attendant found her on a balcony overlooking the city. Earth City. Millions of lights in the darkness, Your Highness. The attendant said carefully, "Are you well?" Yuna didn't answer for a long time. "He's different," she finally said. "The human. He's weak. He lost every trial." "No," Yuna shook her head slowly. "He didn't lose. He just wasn't playing the same game." She looked at the lights below. Everyone else in that ceremony wanted to win. They wanted power, glory, me. She touched the cold railing. He didn't want any of that. He just wanted to tell the truth. "But Your Highness, Prince Soren is clearly the better choice. His family wants to control mine." Yuna's voice was suddenly cold. "Soren doesn't want me. He wants what I represent. Power over my father. Influence over the sovereignty." She turned to face her attendant. The human wanted nothing. He expected nothing. He just stood there and told a story about a little girl. She looked back at the city. "I want to know more about him." The attendant bowed and hurried away. Yuna stayed on the balcony until dawn, watching the human world below, thinking about a soldier who lied to children so they Prince Soren was not a fool. He saw the princess leave during the trial of spirit. He saw when she left, right after the human spoke. He noticed how she didn't return, how her attendants whispered and hurried around something was wrong. Soren had spent 3 years preparing for this selection. His family had invested millions. They had bribed officials, gathered intelligence, eliminated rivals. The princess was supposed to be his. The alliance was supposed to be complete, and now this human was ruining everything. A common soldier, a nobody from a backwater planet. He had no power, no wealth, no connections. He couldn't even win a single trial, but the princess watched him. That was dangerous. Soren needed to fix this problem. He called his advisors together that night. They met in his private chambers, surrounded by luxury. Fine fabrics, rare wines, everything that showed his wealth and power. "The human is a threat," Soren said. His chief advisor, a thin creature with gray skin and clever eyes, nodded. "The princess seems interested. Our sources confirm she asked for information about him, and we remove him." "Killing him would cause problems," another advisor said. "The humans are protective of their soldiers. It could start an incident." Soren smiled. It was not a kind smile. Who said anything about killing? "We simply need to show everyone what he really is. A weak, pathetic creature who doesn't belong here." Poured himself wine. "Arrange a sparring session. Tell the human it's an honor. A chance to train with my personal guard." He drank deeply. "My guard will teach him exactly how weak he is. And when he's broken and bleeding and begging for mercy, the princess will see the truth." His advisors bowed and left to make arrangements. The next morning, a formal invitation arrived for Sergeant Kong Do-yan, Prince Soren of the Ethel Dominion. "Requests the honor of your presence for a private training session. It would be my pleasure to share techniques with a warrior of Earth." Ji-woo read it over Do-yan's shoulder. "That's suspicious." "Yes. You're going anyway, aren't you?" "Yes," Ji-woo sighed. "I'm coming with you." "Oh, I'm your friend." "I'm coming." Do-yan looked at him for a long moment. Then he nodded once. They arrived at the training hall that afternoon. It was a beautiful space. High ceilings, clean floors. Weapons from 100 worlds displayed on the walls. Prince Soren waited there with 3 of his personal guards. The guards were monsters. Each one was over 2 meters tall. Their bodies were covered in armored scales. Their hands ended in claws. Their eyes were yellow and cold, like snake eyes. They were Vorn, a species bred for war. Each one was worth 10 human soldiers, maybe more. "Welcome, human," Soren said with his golden smile. "I thought we might train together, learn from each other. Of course, my guards will participate as well. They do love to practice." Do-yan looked at the Vorn. He looked at Soren. He understood exactly what was happening. "Fine," he said. Gi-woo grabbed his arm. Doyan, don't. This is a trap, I know. Then why? Because if I run, they win. Doyan pulled his arm free. Stay back, Jiwoo. Whatever happens, don't interfere. Doyan, that's an order. Jiwoo fell silent. His hands were shaking with anger. But he stepped back. Doyan walked to the center of the training floor the first. Vorn attacked without warning. The creature was fast. Faster than anything that size should be. Its fist hit Doyan in the chest like a hammer. He flew back 3 meters and crashed to the ground. Pain exploded through his body. Something cracked. A rib, maybe 2. He got up. The Vorn hit him again. And again. Each blow was worse than the last. Doyan blocked what he could, dodged what he could. But the creature was simply better, stronger, faster, built for violence. Blood ran down Doyan's face. His left eye was swelling shut. Every breath hurt. But he didn't fall. Stay down, human, the Vorn growled. You cannot win. Doyan spat blood. Didn't come here to win. He raised his fists. The second Vorn joined the fight. Now it was 2 against 1. Doyan was beaten from both sides. He felt bones crack. His shoulder was dislocated. His knee was twisted wrong, but he kept standing. Soren watched with growing frustration. This wasn't right. The human was supposed to break. He was supposed to beg for mercy. He was supposed to show everyone how weak humans were, but this stubborn fool wouldn't stop getting up. Finish it, Soren commanded. Kill him if you have to. Make it look like an accident. The third Vorn stepped forward. He was the biggest of the 3, the strongest. He drew a weapon from his belt, a shock baton that crackled with blue energy. Jiwoo moved to help, but 2 of Soren's other servants blocked him. He screamed Doyan's name, but he couldn't get through. The third Vorn raised the baton for a killing blow. Doyan couldn't see from his left eye. He could barely breathe. His arms felt like they weighed 1,000 kilograms, but he saw the blow coming. Something inside him shifted. Something cold and hard and unbreakable. He caught the Vorn's wrist with his bare hand. The shock baton crackled, sending electricity through his palm. His hand burned. His fingers shattered against the Vorn's armored scales, but he didn't let go. Instead, he pulled the Vorn close and drove his forehead into the creature's face. The sound was like 2 rocks hitting each other. The Vorn's head snapped back. Yellow blood sprayed from its nose. The creature collapsed. It's unconscious. Dojan stood over it for 1 moment. Then he fell. The hall was silent. The other 2 Vorns stood frozen in shock. No human had ever done that. Ever. Soren's face was pale with rage, and then a voice cut through the silence. What is happening here? Everyone turned. Princess Yuna stood in the doorway. Her attendants crowded behind her, looking terrified. Her silver eyes swept across the scene. The unconscious Vorn, the bleeding, broken human, the prince and his guards. Training, Your Highness, Soren said smoothly. The human asked to practice with my guards. Unfortunately, he was not as skilled as he thought. Yuna walked into the hall. Her footsteps echoed in the silence. She stopped next to Doyan's body and looked down at him. He was still breathing. Barely. Call the medical team, she said quietly. Your Highness, Soren began. Surely this is not necessary now. Her voice was ice. Soren flinched. The medical team came. They took Doyan away on a stretcher. Jiwoo followed. His face twisted with worry and anger. Yuna stayed. She turned to face Soren. The prince tried to smile, but it looked wrong on his face. This was not training, she said. This was murder made to look like an accident. Your Highness, I assure you, I have eyes. Prince Soren, I know what I saw. She stepped closer to him. She was smaller than him, physically weaker. But in that moment, she seemed to tower over him. That man fought 3 Vorn warriors. He was beaten until his bones broke. He couldn't win. He knew he couldn't win. But he never asked for mercy. He never begged. He just kept getting up. Her silver eyes burned. And in the end, when your champion tried to kill him, He won anyway. With his bare hands, with a broken body, he won. Soren's smile was gone now. That is what humans are, Una said softly. That is what you tried to destroy, and that is why you will lose. She turned and walked away. Soren stood alone in the training hall, surrounded by his guards, and for the first time in his life, he felt afraid. That night, Una went to the medical bay. It was against protocol. A princess visiting a common soldier. Her attendants tried to stop her, but she ignored them. Doyon lay on a bed, wrapped in bandages. His face was swollen and purple. His hands were in casts. Machines beeped around him, keeping track of his broken body. He was unconscious. He didn't know she was there. Una sat in a chair beside his bed. She watched him breathe. Her attendant came in after an hour. Your Highness, please. This is inappropriate. If someone sees, let them see. But what are you doing? Una was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke, her voice barely a whisper. Watching him breathe. I find I don't want him to stop. Doyon woke 3 days later. The first thing he saw was white ceiling. The second thing was pain. Everything hurt. His chest, his arms, his face. Even blinking hurt. You look terrible, said a familiar voice. He turned his head slowly. Giwu sat in a chair beside his bed, looking tired and worried. Thanks, Doyon managed. I mean it. You look like someone ran you through a meat grinder. Chu's voice was rough. What were you thinking? 3 Vorn warriors. You could have died, but I didn't. That's not the point. Giwu stood up, angry. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Not to that golden prince. Not to the galaxy. Not to anyone. Doyon closed his eyes. I wasn't trying to prove anything then. What were you doing? Not giving up. Doyon opened his eyes. That's all. Just not giving up. Giwu stared at him. Then he laughed, a sad and frustrated sound. You're an idiot, Doyon. You know that? I know. A few hours later, General Taiho came to visit. The old man stood at the foot of Doyon's bed with his hands behind his back. His face was hard to read. Prince Soren filed a formal complaint, Taiho said. He claims you attacked his guard without reason. He's demanding you be removed from the selection. Doyon said nothing. The Sovereignty Council is taking his side. They don't want trouble with the Ethel Dominion. Earth doesn't have enough political power to fight this. Taiho paused. I've agreed to withdraw you from the selection, to preserve diplomatic relations. Still, Doyon said nothing. I'm sorry, son. You deserved better. Doyon looked at the ceiling. It's fine, sir. I never wanted this anyway. Right. Taiho nodded slowly. He seemed like he wanted to say more, but he didn't. Just turned and left. That night, someone else came. Doyon was almost asleep when he heard soft footsteps. He opened his eyes and saw a figure in the shadows near the door. Who's there? The figure stepped into the light. Princess Una. She was alone. No attendants, no guards. She wore simple clothes instead of her royal robes. She looked almost normal. Almost human. Sergeant Kong, she said quietly. May I speak with you? Doyon tried to sit up. Pain shot through his body. He fell back with a grunt. Don't, Una said. She walked closer and sat in the chair beside his bed. You're hurt. Stay still, Your Highness. You shouldn't be here. If someone sees I know, she looked at him with those silver eyes. I don't care. They sat in silence for a moment. Heard you've been removed from the selection, she said. Yes. Does that upset you? Doyon thought about it. Really thought about it. No, he said honestly. I never belonged there. I'm just a soldier. All those princes and champions, they belong in a world I don't understand. Anna was quiet for a long moment. Then she asked a strange question. If I chose you, would you resent me for it? Doyon blinked. What? If I selected you as my guardian consort, would you hate me? For pulling you into my world? For making you part of all this? He stared at her. Her face was serious. She wasn't joking. Your Highness, I don't understand. I've been removed from the selection. Answered the question. Doyan was silent for a long time. His broken body ached. His mind was foggy from medicine, but he answered honestly. I wouldn't resent you, he said slowly. But I'd wonder why. Why you'd waste yourself on someone like me? Yuna's eyes widened slightly. Then something changed in her face. Something soft and sad and warm. That, she said quietly, is exactly why. She leaned back in her chair and looked at the ceiling. May I tell you something, Sergeant? Something I've never told anyone? Yes, the selection is a cage. Her voice was bitter. It looks like an honor, a tradition. But it's really just a way for powerful families to control mine. Whoever I choose gains influence over my father, over the sovereignty. She looked at him. Prince Soren doesn't want me. He wants power. If I choose him, his family will control us. They'll use me as a tool, a decoration, a political weapon. And the other candidates? The same. All of them. Every single one, she laughed, but there was no joy in it. They all want something. Power, wealth, control. They look at me and see an opportunity. She reached out and touched his bandaged hand. Gently, carefully. But you, she said. You looked at a wall of names and remembered friends. You told a story about a little girl you lied to so she wouldn't be afraid. You fought 3 warriors who could have killed you, and you never once asked for anything. Her fingers tightened slightly on his hand. I have watched candidates from 100 worlds. Warriors who fight for glory. Politicians who fight for power. You fight for people you'll never see again, and you don't even want to be thanked. I'm not special, Doyan said. I'm just ordinary. She smiled. It was the first real smile he'd seen from her. No, you're not ordinary at all. You're just the only person who doesn't know it. She stood up. The final selection is in 2 days. Something is going to happen there. I have a plan, but I need someone I can trust. Someone who will stand with me, not for me. She looked down at him. Will you help me? Doyan thought about everything. The war, the memorial, the trials, the beating, the princess, sitting beside his bed in the middle of the night, asking for his help. Every instinct told him to stay invisible. Stay safe. Don't get involved in things beyond his understanding. But something else spoke louder. Something that sounded like the little girl on Titan Station, asking if the monsters were gone. Yes, he said. I'll help you. Yuna's smile grew wider. Then rest now, Sergeant. Heal as much as you can. She walked toward the door. In 2 days, everything changes. She stopped at the threshold and looked back. And Doyon, thank you. For being different? Then she was gone. Do-hyeon lay in the dark, his broken body aching, his heart beating strangely fast. He didn't understand what was coming. He didn't understand her plan, but for the first time since the war ended, he felt something he'd almost forgotten. Hope she stood tall and said, He is mine, Part 5. She stood tall, the Grand Assembly, what was the largest building on Earth. It had been built after the Kreth War as a symbol of hope. A place where the world could come together. Now, it was filled with beings from across the galaxy. Thousands of seats. Thousands of eyes. Cameras broadcasting to billions of worlds. The final selection. Ceremony had begun. Prince Soren stood at the front of the hall with the other remaining candidates. His golden skin glowed under the lights. His smile was confident. He had already won, and everyone knew it. The human had been removed. The princess had no other choice. Doyan was not in the hall. He had been assigned to guard duty outside. Common soldiers didn't belong inside with the great and powerful. He stood at his post, still wrapped in bandages, still aching from his injuries. Jiwoo stood with him. Stupid, Jiwoo muttered. You should be in there. I was removed. Still stupid. Inside the hall, Princess Yuna walked onto the ceremonial stage. She wore white, a simple dress that flowed like water. No jewelry, no crown. She looked small and young and fragile, but her eyes were steel. The emperor, her father, watched from his throne. His face showed nothing but inside he felt tired. He had already made deals with Soren's family. The alliance was set. His daughter would be traded like property. There was nothing he could do. Such was politics. Yuna reached the center of the stage. The hall fell silent. "I have made my selection," she announced. Prince Soren stepped forward, his smile widening. First Yuna continued. "I invoke the right of challenge." Silence broke into gasps and whispers. The right of challenge was ancient law. It allowed any candidate to fight for the position regardless of standing. Regardless of whether they had been removed. Soren's smile froze. "Your Highness," one of the council members said nervously, "there are no other candidates." The human was removed. A crash echoed through the hall. The great doors flew open. Doyon walked through. He was still hurt. Bandages covered his arms. He moved slowly, painfully. But he moved. Behind him walked Jiwoo and a squad of human soldiers. Their faces were hard. Their eyes were determined, and behind them stood General Taiho. "Earth presents its candidate," the general said loudly. "As is our right under the law." The hall exploded in chaos. Voices shouted. Council members argued. Guards moved toward the humans. But Yuna's voice cut through everything. "The right of challenge is clear. Any candidate may fight. The law cannot be denied." She looked at Soren. "Lest you are afraid, Prince." Soren's face twisted with rage. He had been played. Manipulated. This little princess had set a trap, and he had walked right into it. But he couldn't refuse. Not in front of the entire galaxy. His pride wouldn't allow it. "I accept the challenge," he growled. "I'll fight this human myself." The hall was cleared. A fighting ring was drawn in the center. On one side stood Prince Soren. He had been trained since birth. He was faster than any human, stronger, better. His body had been enhanced with the finest. Technology. On the other side stood Doyon. A broken soldier from a broken world. The fight began. Soren attacked first. He was a blur of golden movement. His fists hit Doyon like hammers. Once, twice, 3 times. Doyon staggered back. Blood flew from his mouth, but he didn't fall. Soren attacked again. Kicks and punches rained down. Each one perfect. Each one brutal. Doyon couldn't match him. Couldn't beat him. The prince was simply better in every way. But Doyon did the only thing he knew how to do. He endured. Every time Soren knocked him down, he got up. Every time he was hit, he stepped forward. His face was a mask of blood. His body screamed in pain, but he refused to stop. Soren grew frustrated, then worried, then afraid. He had fought many opponents, beaten them all, but none of them had been like this. None of them had simply refused to lose. "Out, stay down." Soren screamed. He hit Doyon with everything he had. "Why won't you stay down?" Dojon looked at him through swollen eyes. "Because I promised." He remembered the little girl on Titan Station. He remembered the wall of names. He remembered Yuna sitting beside his bed, asking for his trust. He had promised to stand with her, and Kong Doyon never broke his promises. Soren attacked, one final time. He put all his rage into a single blow, but rage made him sloppy. He overextended. Du-Heian saw it. He caught Soren's arm. Twisted, pulled. He was weaker, slower, broken, but he had something Soren didn't have. He had nothing to lose. Doyon pulled Soren close and held on. The prince struggled, fought, screamed, but Doyon's grip was iron. He held on with everything he had. Everything he was. Soren exhausted himself. His golden strength faded. His perfect body failed. He collapsed. "Yield," Doyon whispered. "Yield, and it's over." For a long moment, Soren said nothing. His sunset eyes were full of hate. Then finally, "I yield." The hall was silent. Doyon released him and stood up straight. His body was destroyed. He could barely see. Every breath was agony, but he was standing. Yuna descended from the stage. She walked past the defeated prince. Past the shocked council members, past her own father, whose face showed something new. Surprise, and maybe pride. She stopped in front of Dojin. He could barely stand. Blood dripped from his face onto the white floor. She took his broken hand in hers. Then she turned to face the assembly. The emperors, the princes, the lords of 1,000 worlds. She stood tall. "He is mine," she declared. Her voice rang through the silent hall. "And I am his." She looked at each of them. Her silver eyes challenged anyone to disagree. Not because he is the strongest. Not because he is the fastest. Not because he has power or wealth or a famous name. She held Doyan's hand tighter. But because when the universe told him to kneel, he chose to stand. When everyone else fought for glory, he fought for people. When he had every reason to give up, he refused. She looked at her father. That is what humans are. That is what Earth has shown us. And that is what I choose. The hall was completely silent. Then the emperor began to laugh. It started small and grew until it filled the chamber. But it wasn't cruel laughter. It was surprise, delight, pride in his daughter's courage. "So be it," the emperor said. "The selection is complete." Just like that, everything changed. 6 months later, Earth was granted full membership in the Galactic Sovereignty. The fastest admission in history. Sergeant Kong Do-yan was given titles and honors. He refused most of them, but he accepted one thing. A simple ring. Yuna had it made from metal, salvaged from Titan Station. He wore it every day. A reporter once asked him how a common human soldier won the heart of an alien princess. Do-yan shrugged. His face was still scarred from his battles. He still wore his old uniform sometimes when no one was watching. "I just kept getting up," he said. Beside him, Princess Yuna smiled. "Yes," she said softly, taking his hand. "You did." And somewhere among the stars, on 100 different worlds, the story was told and retold. The story of a princess who refused to be a prize, a soldier who refused to stay down, and a love that proved humanity's greatest strength. It was never its weapons or technology. It was simply this: the stubborn, beautiful refusal to give up.